you've probably seen Brent and I here and our names on the kind of the opener slide. Our intent is in no way for this really to be a presentation style type of thing. This is much more intended as a town hall, as a listening experience with you all. So, Brent, with that, I think we'll go ahead and transition here into our, the substance of the conversation for today. We've got something we'd love, for those joining today, just so we have an idea if we were in the before times, when, things were in real life, in person. If you had a town hall gathering, you would, do, introductions, folks would get to know, who's in the room with you. So just to make sure that we're all focused together on the most relevant stuff for today, we'd be looking for an introduction for each of you, and I can model away for this on the first one. We're looking for your name, your company or your organization, your one sentence. Think of it like your one sentence offer, right? Your elevator pitch. What is your connection to clean tech, right? And then finally, what is your one sentence ask? That would help you accelerate. So by the end of our conversation today, what's the one thing that you're looking for help on? And I will give credit to any of those of you who know Project Olympus. This is their format. This is their model. And if it works really well for them, why reinvent the wheel? So I'll kick us off here. So Chris Gassman, I'm with the Center for Sustainable Business. And as far as clean tech goes, we are excited to be launching a number of accelerators and other innovation ecosystem supports going into the next 2 years. And the ask that I have is, what support is needed? Because I really don't want to create programs that aren't going to be helpful. So that's mine. And I don't know if who wants to just popcorn it around. Who wants it next?
I will go next. Hi, Chris, thank you for invitation. I am Brent Rondon. I work at the Innovation Institute at the University of Pittsburgh. I work specifically for international business development. So I help local companies to find markets overseas. I've been doing this for many, many years. And sometime in my life, I did some clean tech sustainability exports into Latin America and Europe. And I got some tours and going to meet different trade shows and lots of connections, government. So happy to be here. And I am looking forward to this topic since this is very relevant nowadays with all this happening today. Thank you.
I'll go. It's Judy. Hi, I'm Judy Costanza, and I recently left a long-running career running operations with an innovation-based social media company. Essentially, we built software and a practice to help global brands grow their YouTube audiences. And I left there because I felt compelled to jump into the sustainability space. And yesterday I was at the Sustainable Pittsburgh webinar, and I guess is how I became aware of this. And I am just learning and finding my way through what's going on in Pittsburgh. And this looked particularly interesting to me. Thanks.
Greg Hinthorn here. I'll go next. I'm one of the founders of a company called AmeriCarbon, and we convert coal as a raw material into something called carbon pitch, which is then further refined into various advanced carbon products. And the sustainability component of the business is that we're displacing a product that, essentially our product has a 99% lower carbon footprint than the products that we're competing with. In addition to that, some of the products support things that have a sustainability component to them. So kind of interesting to have, a coal as a piece of our business and be focused on sustainability. So, the sentence of what could help us accelerate it is kind of a difficult question for me, to be honest with you. We're an early stage business just getting going. So we have a lot of different areas of need. Frankly, if we could figure out a way to provide more time, more hours in a day, that would probably be the number one thing. But I might have a better suggestion as we go further in the conversation.
Yeah, I'll go next.
Rudy, looks like you went on mute as soon as you started talking.
There we go. Sorry, it doubled up there. Double clicked. I'll segue off of Greg's product there, because in some ways we're similar. My name is Rudy Olson. Our company is Seafoam LLC, and we make carbon foam from coal. So for every pound of coal that goes into our process, about 3/4 of a pound of carbon foam comes out. Those byproducts, we also think long-term we can either collect and sell or turn around and use as thermal energy back in the process to help reduce costs and improve the process. So the elevator sentence about, clean tech, I think, is that, in effect, we are, instead of using coal as a fuel, we're using it as a carbon ore. To create carbon products. We're effectively sequestering carbon products. So like Greg said, our footprint long-term is going to be, carbon footprint will be very small. One sentence asked to help accelerate, I think in the end, it begs more questions, but more marketing, sales, and engineering support. Today I'm in Stuttgart, Germany, at a foam expo show where I'm selling, marketing, and doing technical applications on seafoam all together. So yeah, I think that's that about sums it up. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. And I know, Danny, we teed up you a little bit earlier, but if you want to go, and then Sukanya, if you want to bring us home.
Yeah, my name is Danny Nye. I'm a center associate working with Chris at the Center for Sustainable Business. And I think he kind of laid out, where we want to go on clean tech going forward. But just happy to be here.
All right, I can jump in. So can you guys hear me all right? So my name is Sukanya Romyanon, and you can call me Sue. And I'm glad I found our participant has coal background. Myself, I have background in oil and gas industry. I worked for them for almost 20 years and just decided to come back to school and doing a master's degree in sustainable engineering and MBA. And I'm working for Chris now at the Center for Sustainable Business. So I think that kind of tell my story that I'm a lifelong learner, and I know that this important stuff will be something that we all need to get up to speed and gain more knowledge on this. That's it about me.
Thank you, Sukanya. So with that, I think, Rudy, you touched on a little bit of the sales, marketing, support, right? One-man band show trying to do it all. And Judy, you coming a bit from that space and thinking about hey, how can we help clean tech folk accelerate, right? And so I think that might tee in very well. Again, we didn't want this as a lecture coming from a university. We didn't want this as a lecture style, talking at folks. We did want to make sure that we were at least bringing some resources to the table. So I think this has helped frame it a bit. And so Brent, with that, if you want to talk a little bit about some of that marketing or that kind of support that from your side you're able to bring from the Innovation Institute. Oh, and Brent, you're on mute.
Always happens. So the Innovation Institute is a group at the university comprising 4 units. Different units are for different populations. So the one I work with is for commercial companies. Any company in the Pittsburgh region can access the Innovation Institute. And the institute that does that work is called the Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence, IEE. And we have business consultants in-house. We provide business consulting, market research, and business webinars at no charge. So the mission of the university is to provide economic development in the region. And we try to just try to meet with you, go over your goals, and then we are going to engage on a one-to-one confidential consulting appointment. So that's what the IEE offers. We have lots of networking and peer-to-peer sessions. It's amazing. It's a big group. We are 16 consultants, so happy to help. And we have partners, of course, and that's the value of what we bring. We have different partners, either in the private sector or the commercial, the government sector, and I will talk about that in the next slide, which is the power of any Pittsburgh company can access overseas customers. What you see there is over more than 80 countries that we have a presence in, and I work with those guys. These are folks at the U.S. embassies and consulates, and when I went to Europe or Latin America, I use those services. These are pretty much people like you and I that work in those countries, and their mission is to help you as a company try to find distributors, sales agents in those countries. Now, to do that, as you know, international business requires some extra homework to do, but we are here all to do that for you. And so one of the services that I used was a Gold Key service. Maybe you guys are familiar with Gold Key. The Gold Key is, it's just they will find 3 to 5 vetted foreign distributors, agents in the country that you want to visit. And when you go there, they will wait for you with the appointments. And it's a day worth of appointment. And it's a more targeted, more time efficient for you to do that. And then you come out and you can select a distributor or a rep in the country. So the business model is finding a rep distributor mainly for those countries, more than 80 countries. Also, if you have an inquiry from a country and you don't know exactly who these guys are, and you want to find out if these are for real, do they really exist? They also offer the service. They can also find out if the company exists and has some background checks for you. Now, the U.S. embassies are there, more than 80 countries. Now the states are in the game of doing the same. So the state of Pennsylvania offer their own service. Now they have representation in 12 countries. And in fact, you are in Germany, Rudy. The Pennsylvania office has a German representative there. That's all service at no cost, because in comparison to the U.S. consulates that they charge, the Pennsylvania program doesn't. It's all paid by your tax money, so it's all free. So you just need to meet with a person trying to get the ask, whatever you ask, and then they will come out with that work. Now they will bill the state, so you don't pay for it. The state is paying for it on your behalf. So that's a great resource, I think, for you guys to know, and we have access to those guys and we know them very well. So next slide is more what initiatives there are, right? So there's lots of initiatives in terms of international business nowadays, because the whole planet is moving towards being more efficient, efficient in the terms of energy efficiency, but also efficient in the terms of cost efficiency. So if you have a technology that provides those solutions to those problems, I think you are in good standing, that you can do some dent there. International business has been now the way to promote this new initiative. We in the international business, we're going to expose you to different markets, different people, and then your technologies go across those countries, and we're all going to start doing the impact on environmental. So the goal right now that they're talking about is to achieve net zero by 2050, right? This is a lofty goal, but low carbon technology is in the mix. So you guys are in that industry, and we're happy to talk to you about that. Now also try to focus on the industries that produce the most in terms of pollution. We have electricity and heat production, 25% of emissions. So that's the highest industry, electricity and heat. Then comes agriculture with 24%. Then we have industry in general, just a general industry, 21%, transportation, 14%, all about fuel extraction, refining, processing, transportation comes to 9%, and then buildings at 6%. So it's lots of industries that you need to worry about, but let's start focusing on what you guys are doing. So you see the numbers there, the big projects there. Can you go back a little bit? Because the last point, EXIM approved. I don't know if you guys are familiar with EXIM. EXIM is an agency that promotes export financing for international operations. So if your company is looking to sell a technology or a product to a foreign customer, and there is a program that EXIM offers to guarantee some loans if you need loans for that, or if you want to protect yourself when you offer net 30 or net 60 quotes to your foreign buyers, and if they don't pay you, EXIM will pay you. So this is a scheme that companies can go internationally with zero risk, but you have to use EXIM. And EXIM is a US agency. And we are representatives of EXIM at the center. So I just want to show that Ohio company got $8.7 million loan from those guys. But they can go as low as very low amounts of transactions to billions of dollars transactions. So EXIM is a big player. Next slide talks about just the different groups that or initiatives coming up. Next week in France, there's happening the Power of Green Energy. It's a conference and also a matchmaking event. It's free of charge for the conference. If you want a matchmaking, it's $500. So right there, that is happening next week. I didn't include that in the PowerPoint, but there's another inquiry we got from Italy. They are looking for US suppliers in the clean tech industries right now. This comes from Deloitte, Italy. And right now I am entertaining a request from US suppliers to do that. So there's 3 clusters. I will share that with Chris. I think Chris, you have that PowerPoint, but you can share that with them to see if you fit in any of the categories, then we can move forward. Just to be, your information will be in the website, and then they will introduce you to the big Italian companies looking for US suppliers. But then you have other information there. The first one is the US Environmental Solutions Toolkit. That's where US company can be registered in that directory. So when they promote the directory overseas and they see for specific solutions they are looking for, your company will pop out. So that will be another way for you to be more active internationally. The other ones are more the top export markets. The third one is market research as well as energy resource guide. But the last one, country commercial guide. The country commercial guide gives a snapshot view of any country you want to do business with. So you're just going to dial to trade.gov/Germany or trade.gov/China, and you get into the country and you get all this information about the country, including foreign regulations and including market demand. So you see in the market, in the top 10 industries of market demand, if your industry is being a player. So that's great in terms of resources that there are there. Next slide talks about the size of the global market. Okay, United States only has 4% of the consumers. 96% are outside our borders. So it's a big market out there. Our number one market for exports is Canada. Number two is Mexico. Number three comes China. Number four comes the UK, and number five, Japan. But of course, there are many, many more markets. Then we also have free trade agreements with 20 countries. So that's another strategy. You can just look at a 20-country free trade agreement and go that route. Or you can, some people use developing economies versus developed economies. So you can see if you're focusing on developing economies, there's another group called USTDA.gov, and USTDA only focuses on developing economies, and they will finance projects too. So there are so many groups in town that they really are there to help you out, but it's a maze sometimes, and you need to navigate who is who and who does what. But that's what we're here for. It's part of the University of Pittsburgh Innovation Institute. We're consultants. We help out companies, and my job is more international business consulting. So that's pretty much on my side. Chris?
Perfect. And again, we will share out, I saw some folks look like they were scribbling, taking frantic notes. Don't worry, we will share out the deck later just so folks have it for reference and have all the hyperlinks, have all contact info as well. From just briefly from our side, from the Center for Sustainable Business, so that folks know, we have three main work streams that we're in. And I think of the three, the one that's most relevant to this group for the conversation is our whole focus around decarbonizing Middle America. And for us, that focus, we take it in a couple of different ways, right? So there's the geographic middle of the country. There's also the economic middle of the country, right? Because a lot of times the coasts of a country will get a lot of attention, or the economic top of a country will get a lot of attention, but there's not a whole lot of focus, however you want to think about the middle, where the other half of the jobs are, the other half of the economy is, there's not a whole lot of focus there. And so that's where we said, hey, a McKinsey might write a story about us once in a while, but like who's really leaning in and engaging in that front? And so that's why we thought, hey, let's continue our work from the Marshall Plan for Middle America and really, dive into how do we help foster, how do we help accelerate a just transition to clean and circular economies. So that's really our work in that space. It does dovetail a little bit with our Workforce 100 efforts around decent work for all, and does dovetail a bit with our work on the environmental social governance, or ESG Rosetta Stone, how to help understand, what are your consumers asking for, your finance, or your regulators, because they're all talking from different perspectives, or your future employees. But again, for the clean tech audience, I think probably the focus really around decarbonizing Middle America. What's the what of what we're focused on, and more, okay, Chris, how do we do that? There's less relevant for this group, but just for reference, there is that Sustainable Business Forum that we're working with, the PPGs or the People's Gas or the Accenture just recently, kind of that size of company. But for the rest, for the middle market and for the entrepreneurs, we're doing still a lot of thought leadership, a lot of applied research, and a lot of education, training, reskilling, things like that. And so that's really where, when you think about what does that mean within the kinds of programs that we're looking to get started here, you may have seen the news over the last bit that we just got a Heinz grant, bringing the investment in the center from Heinz Endowments over $1 million to help us scale up. We currently have 5 people in the team. You've met most of them here. And over the next 2 years, we're looking to grow 10x to 50. And so that'll start in the spring with bringing on a program lead for each of these 3 work streams. But then we're going to start launching the programs and projects underneath each of those and bringing on teams to really help lead those. Most of those will be folks at the university, so center, other center associates, other fellows, whether MBAs or others, to run the programs on multi-year cycles or year cycles. And so that's really for us why we're keen on what really is going to be the most helpful, for you all. Is it type of accelerator where you have a peer group where you have maybe some students who can lean in and help. I can't create time, Greg, but maybe if we help find other hands, maybe it helps you get more time that way. Or really, I know Brent just talked a whole lot about the kind of marketing, sales, types of support out there. Thinking about engineering and how to build that into the business. If that's something, if that could be part of the multidisciplinary teams that a university might be able to help with, right? Or Judy, for you, thinking about, hey, I'm looking to transition into the space, right? What are those? Whether it's a woman-led business or somebody transitioning from an extractive industry, the coal communities, et cetera. What are those new clean tech jobs that they could be transitioning into? What are the types of programs? So there are lots of different things. Is it a funder circle? So that's really for us. We know that we've heard from everyone that each of these are important, but we want to make sure that we're starting with what's the most important to the community here over the next years. And so for what we've heard so far, really looking at something around methane and trying to find out the business opportunities around capping orphan and abandoned wells. We're not going to pick a fight and say whose problem it is or like why did we end up in this space. That's not the problem. Like right now, stuff is venting, and like how can we deal with that? Trying to invent business models around that. Looking really at again fostering communities here. Fostering innovation within the Marcellus Shale region, right, within the greater Appalachia region of, we want to make sure no one's left behind, right? So whatever type of clean tech jobs we can help them transition into, great, let's have an accelerator from the region. And then, really beyond that, thinking about the kind of funding that might be most relevant for folks on there. Those are, so far, what we've heard, straw poll of the top three. But again, would love feedback from you all as far as what really might be the most helpful. But that is really, the extent of what we had to present. And again, kind of tried to hone that based on what everyone's interests were. Really, with the remainder of the time that we have, whether Judy's for you or Greg or actually Mark, who just met last night at that Sustainable Pittsburgh bit. So I will, Mark, for you, give you, I know you're hopping between commitments, but if you are able to, give a quick little intro to the group, just join us in, your name, your company, who you are to clean tech, and, what's your ask? How could we help you accelerate? What's the one thing that you're looking for from today? And Mark, you might be on mute. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. No, we got you.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you last night, Chris. And so my name is Mark Portnoff. The company I work for is Star Energy, but it's really part of the Thar Group. And our focus is twofold. We work with supercritical fluids, and historically we've done that in using it as supercritical carbon dioxide as a clean fluid. Now we're looking to adapt that as a working fluid so you can take thermal energy and convert it to electricity at higher efficiencies than the current steam Rankine cycle. And then the other one is the supercritical water as a cleaning process. So water fundamentally changes properties when it goes from ambient conditions where it's a polar molecule and very solvent. And so it collects contaminants. That's why we wash our hands with it. And when it goes supercritical, it becomes nonpolar. So everything that's dissolved into the water precipitates out. So it fundamentally will clean water. It will destroy biological contaminants, viruses. It will destroy if you run it in a proper mode, it will destroy the pharmaceutical contaminants that are in our water, and it will knock out all the salts and heavy metals. And so we're looking, part of that problem is it takes a lot of energy to take water supercritical. So we're looking at recovering the first batch energy so that it becomes a sustainable process. And what we need is, so on the thermal to electric power conversion, the market has changed drastically because of the cost of solar, PV, and wind and batteries. So we're looking at how to take the technology we've developed, which could be 40 to 50% efficient in conversion, and where's the best place to apply it. We might think about changing from a power system to like solar air conditioning, using the same components. That gives you a sense of who we are.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Again, it's now 3 of us that you're connected via Sustainable Pittsburgh. So good. Glad that I attended that yesterday, morning and afternoon. So with that, again, want to make sure this is a conversation that's gathering that's helpful for each of you. Rudy, for you, or Greg, Judy, or what questions do you have for each other, or what questions do you have for Brent or for myself? How can we help foster the community for each other? How can we help each other out in this?
Well, for me, I'll just share that I'm happy to know that there's an entity which is Pitt Sustainability. I mean, a minute ago, I didn't know this, and now I do. So I'm on the website and I'm researching just the landscape, and it's just tremendous to see this much activity. I've had my head down in the world work that I was in before, and I'm just so enthusiastic about what Pittsburgh has to offer, and in particular at the university level. And there's just so much at Pitt for me to explore. So I'm happy to have found you guys, and I'm in my learning and absorbing mode.
Awesome. I might pick your perspective a bit later. Have a follow-on conversation, because we're actually thinking about some micro credentials and certificates and professional trainings and things like that for working folks. Like, what would help you skill up and hypercharge and learn and get into the space. So it'd be very, very interesting.
I'll tell you, there are so many doorways out there, and just to be able to meet me where I am so that I can figure out what the best choices are to put some credentials in my backpack so that I can begin to jump in and impact what's going on. I mean, that's my desire. That's my intention. But figuring out where to start is the question. So I'm absorbing, and I appreciate that acknowledgement. That's what I need.
Oh, happy to. And Greg, saw you come off mute. Curious on your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually, Judy said it well by absorbing. I kind of have the same thoughts. It's sort of like I could see a number of different possible interactions, both in my capacity as a founder of AmeriCarbon, but also, I guess you'd say a serial entrepreneur, but also involved in a lot of kind of economic development type activities. And one of my questions relating to Brent, and as well as the overall center, so I live in Morgantown, West Virginia. I consider myself being in the Pittsburgh area. I want stronger connectivity to Pittsburgh, to be honest with you. And that was kind of also part of the intention of getting involved in the Marshall Plan for Middle America to begin with, and those sorts of things. So I'm curious. So first of all, again, I have a lot of general interest, and even you talked about capping orphan wells. I've got friends that are focused, are spending some time and effort in that space. So I might be able to help connect some other dots as well. So again, just being in the arena of entrepreneurship, economic development in the region generally would certainly welcome, having a better understanding of other connection points where I could even be a connector for you guys. In addition to my business itself, interested in some of the concept Brent talked about, international markets, and I hadn't really thought a whole lot about that yet. It was kind of something more in the far off future, but maybe that's where, if there's some interactivity there, maybe there's some opportunities that could be started to be identified in parallel with the more near-term markets we're focusing on. So yeah, there's a lot there. I'll stop there, but you consider Morgantown in the Pittsburgh area?
Yes.
And I'm guessing wheeling also, right, Rudy?
Absolutely. And I think, we're a West Virginia LLC, but we are 25% owned by Consol Energy out of Canonsburg, who has ties to University of Pittsburgh. We actually did a little project with them a little over a year ago. And, we use coal from West Virginia to make seafoam, but we also use coal from Pennsylvania from a Consol mine. And so, what's interesting. So I've been kind of going down this path with West Virginia and some of the assistance West Virginia can provide, but, I would love to have more. And I would love to foster connections with Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, and I'm sure Consol would be happy in that regard as well. And so I kind of see us, like Greg was alluding to, Morgantown, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, even Ohio to some respect. This community has a lot of roots in carbon, right, and in coal. And everybody sees the writing on the wall. And so, is this coal to products wave, is it going to be real? Is it going to be sustainable? Can we keep growing it and utilizing all these resources like Chris, what you and Brent are talking about here? I'll be happy, if you send me that slide deck. I'm going to be reaching out to you. I'm going to be hitting some of those websites. I ran across the XM, and it's been in the back of my mind, and you guys just reminded me of that. And there are some instances. We have customers in Italy, about 4 or 5, and we're trying to grow them. We have like a brand new distributor that's just kind of dipping their toe in the water. But that's just one part of Europe. We're 75% owned by Australians. We'd like to foster that. But it's, they're financial guys. They're not necessarily technical. So I think you guys could help us out a lot, because I'm through this West Virginia process. I'm starting to see how valuable this kind of assistance and information can be. And so I'm just like Judy says, I'm learning as I go. And now you guys are coming along and say, hey, Pennsylvania can do some things in University of Pittsburgh. So I'm thinking, okay, I gotta do, utilize what you guys have to offer and develop all this together. And hopefully our product ends up making a positive impact going forward.
Right. At the IEE, we have clients from all over. It's not only Pennsylvania. And when we have our webinars, we get companies from Chicago, from Texas, from North Carolina. I mean, it's amazing how soon people start talking about, because there are some niche services we offer. Internationally, it's not really a common language everybody speaks every day, and we do that. So we had a contact, and we are reps for Exim Bank, for example, and also SBA. SBA now launched the export financing program, and they just hired a new guy. So we know that guy very well. So it's just the power of connections, right? So we work with you. I guess in paper, we go over what are the due diligence you need to do before you get burned doing international business. And then you are ready to be introduced to all of these groups. And when they will talk the language of international business, you are there, right? So, and then you just need to move fast, talk to people, engage, and always be in touch with us, just as a supporting system. So we are there with you on the background. We're consultants, and it's at no cost. So it's just there. It's just there to help you out, push the wagon. And there are so many initiatives also regionally, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and we talk about that language. So one of the guys from SBA, who is the export financing guy, is in Cleveland, Ohio, for example. And I know a guy I think he's in Wheeling. He worked for the U.S. Commercial Service, and he does Latin American development. So we all talk. So it's just a big family. So it's just glad to see you guys here, and happy that you know about the Center for Sustainable at Pitt, but also the Innovation Institute at Pitt.
Okay.
Thar Energy is a development company, and so we don't follow the small company business model, like focus on your product like a laser. Our tagline really is terrible from a marketing perspective, but very descriptive. If you have a problem, we solve it with supercritical fluids. And I am the technical guy. What we need is some connections with businesses that could use our services. So we're writing a phase 2 proposal where we're gearing up to do commercial scale water cleaning. So we would need connections with people who have frack water that would like to see that cleaned out. Get a tanker of 8,000 gallons brought in and we'll run through it in our system. Municipal sewage, we can treat that, so to work through those type of connections. Also need, we don't know how to do tank farms, which is part of that process when we're starting to do commercial scale. So introductions to people who know how to do, you don't want to make mistakes on the routine, like how you handle a tank farm for your advanced technology. And then there are other opportunities for networking. There's an SBIR just got released yesterday for taking coal and coal waste and extracting critical metals and materials. So the Sandia National Labs, the research team proved they could do it with supercritical fluids. We are one of the most experienced and successful companies at making equipment at the industrial scale. So Rudolph, I didn't hear your introduction, but you talked about coal. I mean, that could be a nice combination of Sandia National Labs with their unique laboratory technology, your place of understanding coal, and our ability to provide the equipment. Could make a nice business case for an SBIR.
Sure. Yeah. And we kind of consider ourselves a small manufacturer as well, a user of capital equipment and a manufacturing entity. So yeah, that could be a nice team.
At the Innovation Institute, we have another group called a Panthers Lab, and Panthers Lab focuses on SBIR and STTR development. So that's another service inside the Innovation Institute. So happy to talk to you guys about that if you are interested.
Yeah, that could be a way to to get something going. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just mention, Mark, you referenced kind of, shale, I guess I'll call it flowback water treatment, that sort of thing. I know a lot of people in that arena. I'd be happy to connect on that as well. So,
nice.
I'm not directly involved, but again, that might be the connectivity part.
Right. And I understand many of people here are interested in renewable natural gas. That still is an area of interest to us, because if you take renewable natural gas, burn it, and we take that thermal energy and create hot water and electric power, there's some advantages. And there are a lot of fermentation facilities going up across the country to take waste, biological waste, and ferment it so you get natural gas off of it. And that renewable natural gas, those processes, there are tax incentives if they can have a small system that can convert that natural gas to electric power to run their facility. And so that really ties into the size of equipment, 200 kilowatts type modular systems that would take that renewable natural gas, burn it, and create electric power and hot water for the generation locally.
Is there a way you could potentially do that with, say, methane coming off of coal gas?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything that burns, we're trying to be environmentally friendly, right? But taking natural gas and burn it, that would be a no-brainer for this. We can do biomass, we could do concentrated solar, whatever the waste heat recovery.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I was alluding to. If seafoam ever really gets going, I had mentioned 1 pound of coal produces 3/4 of a pound of seafoam, but you have another 1/4 pound stuff, right? You're going, okay, well, I can condense some of it and I could sell some of it, and then there's methane and I could sell that. Or, on paper, I say, well, when you produce seed foam, you have to thermally process it. You could take some of that methane and turn it around and put that energy back into the seed foam production process, right?
Yeah, that's a perfect example, right?
Right. And basically some kind of a secondary heat exchange that it kind of, it's an autocatalytic thing where the seed foam is processing itself in a large part. But yeah, I don't have that expertise. I'm just starting to learn about condensing this stuff out. Obviously, there are people who've been doing this kind of thing for a long time, but that would be a next level for us, is
We also
determining
make
how
this-
we fit that kind of module onto our current process.
So in our power system, we make our own heat exchangers. So they could be scaled as a way for you to recover waste heat and then utilize it in other ways. We also make heat pumps, and so and our heat pumps that decarbonization of Middle America is there's an SBIR solicitation on high temperature heat pumps, which we feel like since we make our own compressors and pumps, we can have an opportunity doing that type of work.
One question that I'd be curious about, I think probably tandem for Greg and Rudy, just kind of coming off of, I know you all are somewhat, probably even more than I am, steeped in the working communities behind the Marshall Plan for Middle America and all of those conversations and the ongoing Build Back Better grants and the coal grant, coal community coalition grants. But just kind of more generally, and Mark, from your experience, is there, when you think about clean tech, right, just writ large, broadly, is there one organization or one community that you all have already? And this might be helpful for Judy for a learning purpose. Is there already one organization that you feel, yep, this represents the umbrella interests of clean tech? Is that something that you already have access to, or? There are a lot of groups out there. I don't know if there's anything addressing that, like, clean tech, within the U.S.
Yeah, I don't see anything like that. I'm thankful for Pittsburgh because there's a Green Building Alliance and Innovation Works. There's the universities, Sustainable Pittsburgh. So there is a community that promotes in a variety of different aspects a more sustainable world. But yeah, I don't see an umbrella organization at all.
Right. And I'd agree with that. To me, it kind of feels like maybe there's a movement, but it's kind of coming in a very broad way. And suddenly we'll get a connection out here and it's Ohio and they're talking to Indiana and they're doing something, but then there's the MP for MA and you feel that. And then there's this underground thing a little bit where, I'm talking with Greg and Dave over at AmeriCarbon, or I'm talking with the university over here, or there was a rare earth thing for a little while that we kind of were in and then we were out, but it's still kind of going. So to me, it's very kind of a mile wide and an inch deep, but it's all kind of moving up with no real central authority.
Well said.
Okay.
I think I said that better. It is so fragmented. And so I was going to say burden, but I will say opportunity. The opportunity is upon us to sort it out. And for a long time, I was really craving that. So where is the central authority? And that's not such a good idea, actually. The more people get involved and we network, and I mean, I'm here today with all you guys, and this isn't an unlikely group for me, but I am so happy to have this exposure and connection because, it is a movement and it is going to take all of us connecting and moving it forward and being aware of what's going on outside of what might be bullseye for us. So for me, that's the huge value of sitting in with you guys here. very fragmented and awesome.
Yeah, in the past, I attended the Global Conference, and that's put by the AEE, Association of Energy Engineers, AEE. That's headquarters in Philadelphia, and they do lots of conferences, and they bring all these solar or energy efficiency type companies into one house. So that was one group. Then I contacted the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, AEM, and they are in, I think, in Wisconsin, and they put big shows in Las Vegas on green, the green, I don't remember the name right now, but it's a green expo or something green in Las Vegas, huge. So these are trade associations, private trade associations, but they have their own, membership lists and programming. So we partner with them. At that point, when I was working for a different group, we partner with them to do outreach, so we can invite the companies to go overseas in different trips. But those groups are there, scattered. Okay.
Yeah, like we said, there's lots of movement, lots of different efforts. That maybe not one thing that kind of stitches it together. And it sounds like something like that might be helpful. Again, as long as it fosters innovation, fosters ideas, fosters participation, right? Like very welcoming, inclusive. And so technology agnostic, let's just make the world cleaner, right? So I want to be mindful of time. I know that we're kind of quickly wrapping up to the top of the hour, and want to leave folks the human buffer between for any of those who have, maybe a hard stop and have to start at the top of the hour with their next Zoom or otherwise meeting. Any other kind of parting asks? I know I've got a few follow-ups, I think, just for each of you. So you might be hearing from me individually. One thing that I'll ask is if you have any concerns about me sharing out, I think I might have everyone's email address, but if you have any concerns about me sharing out your email address, just drop me a line and let me know. And happy to connect the group. I'll give it 24 hours for the Zoom video to process and for me to pull together, finalize the deck, and we'll send that out here, by end of week, beginning of next week, latest. But any last questions from our attendees? Any parting words of pearls of wisdom, Brent, before we bid adieu?
Mark mentioned about not being a specific product type company, but more project-based or service type. Yeah, exports, when we do exports, we do both product and services. So open to talk to you as well.
Yeah, I'm okay with you sharing my contact information. Just realize I'm the technical guy. I'll put you in touch with Dr. Chordia, who's the entrepreneur.
Oh, Lalit Chordia.
That's right.
Oh, I know Lalit for a long time. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay. In the slide deck, make sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get that
valuable. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll be talking to you guys.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Happy Thursday.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.